Hey, online, there are Nigerians. As in, like, you even like how they talk, like there was a way they'll be texted, like you be thinking like you're talking to, and then you meet them and they have the most American accent. They're literally not even the accent, they're literally American.
Hello and welcome to another episode and maybe one of our last episodes this season
Come
of
on.
Japa Diaries podcast, where we document the experiences of African immigrants in the diaspora. Guys, we have a little special guest here
Yes, we
today.
do. Yes, we do. We came
Mm-hmm.
big for our last guest episode.
Yeah,
Oh,
we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah,
Ladies and
you have in VIP.
no.
gentlemen.
She's overwhelmed. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Uzo with us, aka Uzo Art. Quick question. What's your actual government name?
Uzo Amaka.
Okay, okay,
This
okay,
is
Yes.
the
okay.
expression she had.
She said, "Oh, my
Oh,
real."
okay.
Yeah, I was actually just curious. Like, is it like because there's so many
Uzo
ways Uzo can go?
variations.
hmm
Yes.
Yeah, Uzo Amaka.
As I
Welcome to
said.
the podcast, Uzo.
Nice to be here. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you.
I have a question. Do people call you Uzo Art?
Yes, in public.
Do
Lol.
you call yourself Uzo Art?
No. Come
All
I,
on,
right.
I
So,
come on.
don't.
no, 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 no. Because you when you're attached to the name,
Yeah, I am pretty attached to the
you understand?
name, but
All right. So it's gonna be Uzo today.
just so yeah, that's good.
All right. Nice, 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 nice. Malik, did you have a question for her?
No, no, no. I'm just excited to have her on the podcast. Talk about her Japa experience because I feel like she has a unique experience that we actually haven't touched on too much this
Yeah,
season. I
rarely,
think, yeah,
honestly.
yeah. I think maybe last season we did just a little bit, but for this season, no. So I'm really
Yeah,
looking forward to getting into it.
talking about it, same. And I feel like it's one of those stories where like it kind of gets lost in the crack, but there are actually so many people like you, and it is the experience of like moving in your childhood that like I can imagine shapes you in a completely different way compared to somebody who is moving like later in their like
Life and
maybe
everything.
teens or like adulthood or like even people who are born here. So I'm like I'm very curious and excited to actually like get into this story.
No problem.
But we're gonna start at the little tippity top,
hmm
okay?
Way back.
Yeah. So, what was life like in Nigeria before you moved? Like, where did you live? What was like family situation like? Siblings? Paint the
Um,
picture.
I was
As an artist, I'm so sorry. It was
as an
right there.
artist, you know.
It was right there.
I was pretty young. So I don't know if I'm gonna have the best information, but I'll give as much as possible. I lived in Lagos, but I lived in Festac. There were a lot of Igbo families in
Okay.
Festac, and with me in Festac, I stayed with my mom and dad and my little brother and sister. I think my sister at the time was young. Like we didn't all move. By the time she moved, she was 18 months, and she's 4 years younger than me. So that was
Wow.
it. I was going to Holy Family Catholic school in Festac as well too. Anyone in Festac, if I say that name, you know exactly where about that is. And my uncles and aunties
Okay.
were there too. And then the rest of my other family was in on the island and also in Asa, like Delta states and Imo states.
Okay. 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 And I guess at that age, to be fair to you, you said you were about what, 6, 7?
Yeah, 6 or 7.
There isn't really like I wonder like how much can you register about
You can't remember
life
too much
around you?
at
All
that
Well,
age. You
actually,
can't.
all I can remember is like
really?
Mr. Biggs, like eating
Normal.
Mr. Biggs.
Yeah.
I can
Normal.
remember staying at my aunt, like school. I remember like school very sparsely, but nothing really much about my parents would go on the island to go to work. Nothing really profound at that age.
Fair
Mm-hmm.
enough. Fair
And
enough.
like, so you had aunties and uncles. Like, did you have cousins that you would like do sleepovers with? Like, I imagine I'm trying to like figure out what was your like your immediate circle like.
I'm one of the oldest on my dad's side, so a lot of my siblings, a
Okay,
lot of my relatives, not yeah, cousins were not really at that age to play
active.
with yet.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think the one that was closer to my age was already in America on my dad's side, and on my mom's side, um, there were a few that were closer to my age, but they lived in that island a little bit more tush, so I didn't really see them much. So we just kind of
yeah.
played more with just the local kids and everything like that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So you had family already in the US.
Yes,
That's very interesting.
yes, in the U.S., the UK, and we're in Australia yet. No, I know some
Damn.
in Australia now. Some of them are in Australia now.
She said we're international. Where I'm from. Love that for
One
you.
at every corner of the globe.
At this point, you know how
Love that. Love
Igbo
that.
people
Love
are.
that. Oh my god. We actually did there was an Igbo family that went to Antarctica.
I'm not
They were the
surprised.
first black family to go to Antarctica.
Guinness record.
Yeah, something like that. I think so. You
I
know
I don't
when
understand
they ever setting
what's our
record.
obsession with breaking Guinness World Records right now.
I don't know. Now you know that we
I
do
I
overachieve.
think after
Overachieve. Yeah.
Hilda, everyone's just wants to jump for
Yeah.
that craze, and
Yeah,
also
Everybody said
job,
Mr. must do.
and then there's also joblessness in the country as well too. So
yeah.
Yeah, but how does joblessness take you Antarctica? But you know what?
is there anything in
Why
Nigeria
you want me
going
to?
on?
No, no, no. No, the people that go to Antarctica, that one I can raise. I think Uzo was talking about people that said I'm going to stand for
It's
five
joblessness.
days. That one.
They see
Yeah.
You don't
this.
have anything
There's
to.
how many people outside this Davido wedding going on right now. They don't have jobs because if they had jobs,
Oh yeah, that part.
they'll be at work.
Yeah.
You know. So
Fizz, fizz, fizz. Okay. So I mean, you might not know this, but maybe this is something that your parents might have discussed after the facts. Like what triggered the move for them? Like why they just decide we're leaving?
um
Wait,
uh,
before you get into that, before you actually get into like why you moved, like were you were young, but were you like aware like something was happening? Were you aware? Oh, we're about to make this big change. We're about to move. I don't know if you were able to like actually pick up on that at that time, because
yeah,
I know for like me now, my parents and them they're funny. If we were ever going to like travel or something during
Ah,
the
they won't
summer,
us.
they won't tell us until like the day before.
Yeah.
Your
yeah.
mom told me one time that I should pack my bags. We're going to Jos. Some people are going to Jos. So yeah, pack your bags. We're going to Jos, and it's cold there. So pack all your winter
I'm
clothes.
crying. Please, what was she setting you up for?
Guy, I got the plane. I didn't even know what was going. I arrived in London. I said, "Rah, this is Jos. Nice one,
Oh,
mom. Nice one.
interesting. She said, let me not get him too excited.
Said nice one."
Interesting.
I guess they do it just to scare you or this what do you call it? Just not to scare you or tell you to, like so you can run away, anything like
She didn't
that.
want to deal with an excited child because she had told me we were
Yeah.
going to the UK and I've been too excited and she was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
ready for this guy's energy right now. That's what she
yeah.
was doing.
There's a TikTok family I follow that does the exact same thing. So you know what? It might just be a parenting trick.
Parenting
They only have their
trick.
kids where you're going.
Yeah, I kind
Yeah.
of knew it was happening. My mother, when she was pregnant with my brother, went to America. And I think they were kind of like gauging the area just to see like what was going on. He was born in America, so my brother was born in America. Then my sister was born in Nigeria. But while she was there, I just remember um, knowing she was gone for quite a while. Then she came back. But when we even traveled, when we moved, we didn't move with my dad. My dad didn't come for like until a year later. So it was just my mom and all three of us that came first to America, and we stayed with an uncle. So I just remember,
Mm.
and I think the only really striking thing I remember was my name's Uzo, but they used to call me Annabelle as well. Annabelle's my middle name, and they would mess it up
Okay.
they
Ah.
would mess it up in the village, and they'll call me Anna Blem Blem or something like that. So of that sort. And so I vividly remember being
Whoa.
in immigration, and they asked me what my name was. And I remember shouting Uzo. And then since then, I become because no one was really calling me Uzo before then. They was calling me Uzamaka or Annabelle.
Mm-hmm.
So Uzo was when like the moment I came to America, I was in immigration. Uzo stuck then.
Mm. So you know, this is a thing. This is a thing. We talk about this. Like people will either change names, like either you
Hmm.
kind of go to like your middle name or like whatever seems more westernized, or you adopt a version of your original name, like a nickname that is like,
More digestible for the
yeah,
Western world.
yeah, like in public, my at work, depending on who I'm introducing myself to, I'm Bim. I'm not Bim Sola, right? But I've also noticed that to some extent, you have like it's like a different version of you. I don't know if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, because I'm sure at home they probably still call you Uzo.
Everyone calls me Uzo unless they want to fight, but it's very simple.
Whoa, ooh,
Unless it's
fairs,
like
fairs, fairs, fairs.
my grandmother, that's the only person, or like maybe
Mm,
like a boyfriend trying to be funny, but that's about it.
Gotcha.
fairs, fairs, fairs. So Uzo is fully Uzo.
Mhm.
Like that's fully like her present self. Interesting.
I like that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's no conflicting personality. Some of
Mhm.
us we do struggle a little bit with that one. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, sometimes I actually don't even know if like the name really helps because me I'm Malik either way. Like I'm Malik at home, I'm Malik at work, out in society, and I still have split personality. So it's still
It's still the same. Yeah, I think
you
On
get
a
me.
code switch, yeah.
Still exactly still hates everyone.
I don't really get much Squid's personality because I get so many ways to like express it throughout everything that I do, you know? So it's like
Come on,
all I can do is just be myself 100%. So yeah.
That's fair.
there you
Yeah. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I
go.
think is my accent that's the one that is still messing with me.
I can just tell you now, you don't have future. That accent, you don't have future.
Why you say that?
I mean, so you cannot fake an accent.
Are you joking?
You cannot fake an American accent.
Have you heard my American accent?
Okay, let's save that one for another time.
Uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. Thank you so much. Don't hate on me. When the money needs to be made, I can make a few things
Oh,
happen.
come on, come on.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But yes, okay. So you knew that there were brewings of something that was happening,
Yes, I did.
right? Did they have an official discussion with you? Like, hey,
I
we're moving, or they just said be packing?
I don't remember. I think it really didn't bother because we're too young. I
Mm.
really don't remember a proper conversation. I just know that we said a lot of goodbyes, and yeah, next thing I knew, I was in the cold area and I was wearing a jacket
Fizz,
and
fizz,
seeing a
fizz. Was
lot
that your
of
first time in the US?
yeah white people. That was a
Damn, you
shock.
really just culture shocked you.
Wow,
hmm
yeah, that's a big adjustment.
You know, thankfully Angel was my sister. She was young enough, like it didn't really brush her. My brother didn't have too much of an issue with Justin either. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when you're much younger, like you won't even know you came from somewhere else. If
Mm,
that makes
mm,
sense. Like
mm.
this is just your first like real memory.
But I
Um,
think your parents constantly being so Nigerian, like in every way they are, their accent like is your constant reminder. And then also finally when you do eventually go back home years later.
you're like, oh, I'm not from here. From here, I have another home.
Yes.
So you fully felt like you grew up in an African household.
Yeah, 100%. Um, 100%. Yeah, it was a Nigerian household. I was like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like no two ways about
In every
it.
manner,
Mm,
yes.
Okay, so sometimes like that kind of tells you like you're a little different from everyone else in society, right? Because I imagine that you go to school and people are talking about things they do at home and all of that, and your experience is a little different from others. Were you like picking up on that like in school and stuff? Were there other Africans that you kind of had growing up while
Mm.
move like shortly after you moved to the US?
We grew up, and when we came, we stayed and we're in Maryland, Temple Hills, Maryland.
okay.
And so there's a lot of Nigerians there and everything like that. I mean, the only difference is like you see sprinkles of white people, starting mixing with Americans and other forms of black people, whether it's Caribbeans and African Americans. Um, hmm, I feel like I did not start trying to acclimate until fifth grade when I we moved from Maryland, Maryland, DC. Then eventually we moved to Northern Virginia. We had an apartment. By then my dad's with us
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And by then we're like that school in Northern Virginia. It was like a gifted school, so it was like gifted learning. It was all these like white people. Like still was not really seeing like okay,
Mm-hmm.
just full like there's like you can really see the difference between black and white people or anything like that. Like everyone was just so diverse because I was in like Northern Virginia, so you had like such a
Mm-hmm. Nova's
multi-diverse
pretty.
area, you know? So it wasn't until we moved to Loudoun County, which is Leesburg, it's like it's still the richest
Where?
Loudoun County. It's in Northern Virginia, but it's a little bit more down. It's like the richest county in
Okay.
America. You know, it
Her.
wasn't until then that I danced that I realized that oh, I'm really African. I'm really, you know, because it was predominantly, very predominantly white, you know. And then the black kids were very black, you know, we weren't really Africans. The Africans were either acted white or they acted black. It wasn't any people who were just
Mm-hmm.
African. And so I do remember myself
Mm-hmm.
sitting here and really trying to acclimate, like, you know, understanding the music, understanding the slang, all the stuff. I was on
Mm-hmm.
Urban Dictionary crazy, just trying to understand and like acclimate.
I was gonna say, like, which way did you lean? Because I feel
Black.
like that does happen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Was that?
they seemed more fun. They seemed like, you know, like they'll be on like the in the dining in the lunch rooms just having fun. Like and it wasn't like the black people would mix with like the Hispanics and like some variation of the white
Mm-hmm.
people versus like the very starkly white. I do know that when I started entering more I think after sixth grade and after seventh grade halfway, when I started getting into like they pushed me, bumped me up a math grade, and I started being with like solely just white Asian people, and same for like I started getting into like all the gifted classes as well. So after that is when I was like now fully with the white people, and I think I almost lost myself. You know, I almost lost
Mm.
myself by eighth grade until like I think my saving grace was high school. Because high school, I didn't do high school, public high school. I went to military boarding school. Um, it was,
Whoa. Okay. Wait. Wait. Wait.
yeah.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. You have to walk us back small. Walk us back small. What was it about? Like when you say you almost lost yourself?
hmm
Discuss.
Like I was
What do you feel like
finding
was happening?
myself. God, I don't know if I can speak freely because I don't know if it's gonna reach.
First. First.
Guys,
First.
okay,
Like, are you using your Africanness
no, like I'll see
or?
myself liking like Oyibo men, like I
Mm.
was hanging out with more like Oyo people, like caring about their fashion, feeling more self-aware about my body because obviously I'm a lot
Mm-hmm.
curvier than them. So I was just like very like I don't say a little bit ashamed and like just trying to like
Mm-hmm.
squeeze myself down into like a certain like
Into you.
minute
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
manner,
fit into that box.
you
Do you
know.
feel like that was like the people around you that were making you do that, or that was like a you just became more self conscious? Because I imagine like eighth grade also is like yeah deep in puberty, so like a
Yeah.
lot is
And
happening.
I'm like
Like
I'm the main person like blown up in terms of like chest and everything size, and everyone just kind of like stay
mm,
minute. Like I can't. My mom's not letting me wear skirts. I can't wear things. Like it's just like it. It wasn't.
it was a
It was a
lot.
lot, you know. So and I remember that I just got tired because the issue was that clothing would just always fit me differently. So I started seeking and
Mm,
yearning for uniforms, you know, because I know with uniforms everyone can look the
mm,
same. You can get like it just seemed simpler. So I was actually aiming to go. I like you know at that time period there was all these UK books that were very popular within teenagers, like
mm, yeah,
Angus Thong Snog, and like
perfect snugging.
all those kind of books. So I wanted to go to London. I wanted to go to school in the UK, Kent Preparatory. Like I had it all planned out. I had a whole presentation for my family. My parents like, I'm trying to get out of
I love a
America.
presentation
I
gag.
wanted to get.
Presentation
I
gag.
was trying to get out of here, you know. And I had a dentist, and she opened her mouth, and she was telling my mom all about this military school that her kids went to,
Ah,
and
wow.
it's so fantastic, you know, this discipline, and the time it makes sense to my parents because if they can get rid of all of us, they can focus on the business and don't have to really. it's a boarding school, you know. So
Oh,
Yeah.
so because of your desire to go to military school, everyone else had ended
everyone
up
had to
going
now
as
go.
well.
They said, it even makes sense.
Yeah.
So they sent us all. They first did the test and sent us all during for summer because they had a summer program, you know.
Mhm.
So summer camp.
In the
Testing
UK?
program.
No, no, no. We didn't do
No,
UK.
this
They ended up doing military boarding
Okay,
school
okay.
in
Okay,
Virginia.
you didn't make it that far.
No,
Okay,
we
okay,
didn't make
okay.
it.
Got
They
you,
sent
got you.
all of us because my dentist had a recommendation and she recommended that school that her
Got you,
nephew
got you.
graduated from. And then they were using these kids to boost. I got into Harvard, and so that was what they were using to
Mm.
boost. And it
is
was
your
like,
dentist Nigeria?
the white lady, you know.
Oh.
So, but then the thing is that after that summer, the summer I wouldn't say there was too many Nigerians. It was just a fun. It was actually cool. Like my parents were not there putting restrictions, so it was just like school restrictions. Everyone was doing it, so it was actually cool. Like you're living, you're being hanging out with kids every day, but it's also summertime. So I had still not kicked in like
Yeah.
the military
Finesse.
aspects of anything yet. So my sister
Oh, you are
didn't.
still on vibes.
And it's still on vibes. My sister was too young to come that year. She came the year after. You know, I was there for 4 years. So, and they had a middle school, so it was a win-win for my parents as well
That
too.
was perfect. Yeah.
Because everybody, my mom liked the school and was telling my aunties, everybody, like people, other Africans. Next thing you know, we started getting a lot of Africans. So, what literally was my
Oh,
saving
wow.
grace was there was so many Africans in that school. We had
You have to
Cameroonians,
reset.
we had Cameroonians and Nigerians, and they weren't like the thing about like Virginia is that the Africans are very Americanized. I think the most of it was like jollof rice, but these ones were people who their main home is in Nigeria. They just second house is in America. You know, and these kids would go
Mm.
every December. They're going to Nigeria. You know, so I started being around all these type of kids, and that's who was able to
Mm.
influence my mom to like eventually let us be able to go back home. And even to this day, those connections I have are the reason why I'm able to I was able to establish myself pretty easily in Lagos. I can go be in Lagos and move around, and it's almost like a second home now. And so that boarding school really did make a big
Mm-hmm.
difference for my high school. You know, it made a difference for me, and it made a difference for my sister. My brother, boys is different. You know, it's a boarding school. Um, there's a lot of hazing and other things going on. And so
Mm.
with the boys, it's a little bit different. The boys there were trying, the African boys there were trying to be black, you know? And so when my brother coming from a very white school and everything like that, he's dressing more. He's a nerdy, he's queer. I don't know how to describe it, but he used to get
Mm.
bullied, and he was getting bullied by the African boys and the black boys. And so
Mm.
so I don't know where it's headed, but you know, so he's more on the other side of the spectrum, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah,
If I allow my guy, everyone choose your own path.
exactly, you
Yeah.
know.
Also, it sounds like those people are trying to replicate boarding school back home.
It,
So men are just doing the same nonsense in hostel.
Mm.
That's crazy.
yeah, you know.
That's
So
actually crazy.
and so yeah, because they were always like there was so many like different segments. We had like the Vietnamese kids, straight from Vietnam. We had the Korean kids. They used to do a lot of hazing in the boys' dorms. It was really bad, you know. So everyone just had their own different forms of boarding school that they were bringing to the school.
I have a question, Malik. Would you have considered all those boarding school experiences hazing?
I mean, I think hazing is a very nice and polite way to say it.
How polite is the word hazing?
I think it's very polite for what I felt like I was going through in boarding school.
Boarding
First,
school in
first,
Nigeria is
first.
not. I don't know. That is a different level.
Yeah,
I think is this.
I think hazing is cute.
There's a certain comedian that does a really good job highlighting that as Justin UG.
Oh
He does
yeah,
a really
yeah,
good job.
That that guy makes me feel like we all went to the same secondary school because
yeah.
what?
Cause we
Because
did.
what?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I thought I was out here having my own authentic experiences. No, we had the same shared
The
reality.
same thing.
We are
What?
Yeah,
all one.
he does a very
We
good
are
job
all
of that.
one.
That's how I think he helped, and also like my cousins that went give a good light into what you guys went through. Yeah, you didn't go through what I went through. You were different.
Uzo, he's so good at the portrayal that sometimes I watch it and have PTSD. That's how good.
Titty Burke.
That's how good it is.
Yeah, he's really good at that. You know, so I would say that like being like the different kind of schools I went to, definitely like I almost trade, especially being a very predominantly rich white area for those for
Hmm.
that time period. But like miraculously, this very unique and weird military school was what really connected me and solidified everything back to normal.
Love
That's
that.
actually so interesting.
At any point, did you feel like other from the other black kids, both like pre-military school and military school? Like I know you said that they seemed like they were having more fun when you were in middle school, so you were kind of hanging out with them more. But like, was there still like a like were there still scenarios or instances where you'd realize, yeah, yeah, we're cool and all, but there's still like some sort of barrier or what?
Disconnect. Yeah.
Yeah, or like we still don't have like a full shared experience, if that makes sense.
She did think I'm. She did think I'm.
No, not
I
really.
don't think I really I don't think I really like focused on that as a kid. I'm not focused. I don't think I really like felt too much of that. I do remember that there were some things that were missing from being all the way in Virginia and not being in Maryland. We didn't go to any more of those like
Mm,
like these kind of night events that we do where in those halls like the Igbo people will do it together. I think Yoruba people do it as well too. They'll do all these like I think they call it Igbo, like they'll do all those things. We didn't have that anymore, so
mm-hmm,
that was completely gone.
Yeah,
But I didn't really.
mm-hmm,
I would say my childhood, I didn't really question a lot of things. I mean, to this point now, people always say like you just I've never been the child to question things. Only my sister questioned, but she was a little bit too young to even like I feel like she's the one that can sit here and like she deeps everything. But me, like especially
mm-hmm,
I think that's why I was able to adjust so easily to most of this. I just did it. I never questioned anything or ever like
mm,
deeped any problem
just
or
rolling with it.
no, I just always rolled with the flow and
Yeah.
that's how it was easily just adapt. It was like I
mm.
didn't really sit down with too much
Is your sister second or last?
last.
See, us last bones, we're always scoping the scenery, like what's going on here.
Exactly.
Because I think for me going to college, I definitely felt the disconnect with like Black Americans, not in a very like big, huge way. So I did
Mhm.
like a summer like pre college program, and it was for minority students. So a lot of the kids there were African American or first generation Africans, right? And then there was me, who was like the one person from Africa, right? And so a lot of the African kids definitely were more Black American because that's who they grew up around. That was like the culture they had around them. I didn't have those like cultural experiences, so I definitely felt like a disconnect in that way. I didn't think anybody was actively trying to other me,
Hmm.
but I just there were things just I just couldn't relate to that was happening
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Like I feel like I had the same experience. It was more so like, I wasn't as tapped into the culture. Like
Yeah.
we'd be
That was
talking
it.
about some things and I wouldn't really understand, why this was such a big deal or,
I
Mhm.
remember.
what's fresh or hot. Like I
Hmm.
was I was still missing some things there a little bit.
I think
Yeah.
what really helped me in high school was YouTube coming out. Because if I would hear something, I
Mm,
would just YouTube it. Um, Dancing fascinated me. And so I think what I really did was I would just discover like I would go from like New York type of dance, New Jersey type of dance, and it would take you into like different hoods, and you would literally start to understand like almost like it's like almost a different form of anthropology. And then I'll also be
it
taking
is, yeah.
like I'll get into Florida, Dade County, and all these other things as well too. And so I think that's like dancing. I found it like I don't know. I think with watching so much dance videos, I didn't. I'm not a dancer. I
Mhm.
just found it fascinating and connecting it with
Mhm.
how we dance as well too. It was like really kind of like how I kind of connected things together. But
Mhm.
everyone they definitely grew up a lot differently, different backgrounds, and I especially noticed it a lot in boarding school because you're living with these kids, to see like everyone
Hmm.
grew up
Mhm.
from a different background, but also like whenever people just in general talk about things I don't relate to or know about, I kind of just disconnect because like What are we talking about?
That's not true. That's not true. You're a researcher because what's
Yeah.
happening? Because from what I'm hearing, you just peep it, you go home,
Yeah, but if
YouTube.com.
it's something like basketball,
You hear something, you go and do Urban Dictionary. So you are cooking.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
cooking. But when it got to things I didn't
You are
care about
cooking.
and I knew I was not going to care, like when they start talking about like basketball, I did not care. Like when they start talking about certain rap songs that come out, I did not care. I did not look it up.
She's like, it's none of my
It's not on my.
business.
You're like this. This is as far as I
It's
can
as
go.
far as I
This
go,
is
you
all I
know.
can give.
But when they talk about like different incidents, like anything historical, like something that seems like it might make sense and lead to something else, then I'll look it up, you know. But otherwise, if I just know it's going to be a
Mhm.
dead, like for basketball, it's not just knowing basketball. You have to know practice. You have to understand the game. You have to know these things,
Yeah.
and I didn't care. I didn't have the
Hmm.
energy for that, so I just left it. I just left it to them and everything like that. But yeah,
I have
with
a question,
yeah.
actually. So, there's some things that when we talk about this cultural disconnect, there are a lot of like American references that like people have of like actors or musicians or stuff like that that like fully fly over my head. Like,
Hmm.
and I'm curious if this happened to you too. So I'm trying to figure out is this just like
Oh,
a
like that
recent?
black card revoked. I don't know movies. I do not know movies,
Oh, all
unfortunately.
right. So you also
That one I didn't try.
that's
Unless I
okay.
come into it on my own being and I watch it with myself, then I'll know. But I've never like when they start talking about like what was that one they used to talk about? Set It Off. I remember I used to reference that thing a lot. I had no idea
Oh
what they're talking
yes, they
about.
did. They
I just
they
let it
did.
go over my head. So if I come into it, I'll come into it. You know. Another thing they used to do a lot of referencing poetic justice flew over my
Oh
head.
yeah.
There are a lot of they
I
used to
still have not
reference
seen that movie.
Friday goes away. I don't know any of these.
No, that
Friday I
one reached
recently
me.
watched.
That one reached me. That one
In
reached me. I
Nigeria
watched
at
it.
the time.
No, no, no. How now? How
That's
now?
what I'm saying. So like this, a lot of these things I had to learn after the fact. Like very recently, I've been
Yeah.
on a black movie like rerun. Like I'm catching all those movies so that I can understand the references because like they just keep coming up. Someone like Billy Joel now. I don't know who that guy is,
Who's that?
but the Americans love him.
Billy Joe.
What she said.
Who's
No,
that?
love that. Okay, we're all confused. Love that. Love
Yeah,
that.
but
Love that.
I think like if it happens in conversation, they bring it up and everything. If I don't understand it, it doesn't change the conversation. If they're gonna change how they perceive me, end of the day, let's talk about some other things. I think the whole point of conversation is to try and find a middle ground of something to talk about. But if they're going to talk about,
Mhm.
you don't talk about something else I have no clue about. I just really move around. If you want to talk about it amongst yourselves, y'all got it. When you guys now
Sure.
talk about something that makes sense, again, I'll come back. Yeah,
So
exactly.
what I'm hearing now is that I cannot take Uzo to trivia night because the two both of us we don't know what's
How?
happening.
How?
The two both of us we don't know what's happening.
No, the ones I know, one thing I know I'll beat them in is like just something that just like it's trivia night for trivia. I don't know that one. If it's now geography
Yeah, I can't do pop
trivia,
culture.
I know that one. I know geography, but they don't know geography. So something like it gives or takes different things. Yeah,
So if you can learn it in school, you got it. If you
yeah.
can't, yeah, we don't got that. All right, cool, 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 cool,
You
cool, cool.
get it's too much. It's too many
Uh,
names. Too many. You know.
Mm-hmm. Makes
yeah.
sense. Makes sense.
To my
Uh,
my prior question when I was asking about if you had ever felt like othered when you were like in those black spaces is I was trying to like see if you maybe experienced. I feel like a lot of people talk about how being African just became cool. Like when you grew up here, that wasn't really always the case. I was wondering if you had actually experienced that as well growing up here. Was there a point where being African wasn't as cool as it is now?
I mean, people say that they don't get called African booty scratcher anymore. That's the one thing they have to bring up, right? Um,
Hmm.
I don't really find much about. I think like only people ever like make fun of my accents or white people, not really black people. But
mhm.
I don't know. I feel like maybe because now like who I always say like it always boils down to who you surround yourself with and your environment, right? Yes,
Yeah.
it seems that people did not like Africans then. People Black people, there's black people who still do not like Africans now. They're FBAs.
Yeah.
They don't like us. It's literally online. You know, it's just that you're not
What's
seeing it.
FBA?
Foundationally Black American Foundation, and then there's the other ones, ADOS,
Oh.
ADOS. If you ever type,
You see, Abisa, this is one us we don't know.
I
Yeah, this one she's aware.
know,
She's happy to. She's
no,
Okay.
happy to.
if
This
you
one us we don't know.
ever go on Twitter and type in
Mhm.
FDA or ADOS, you will see everything. We are still African booty scratchers. We just don't see. We just don't surround ourselves with those. Like it's just now. Before it used to be like more because of like it was
Mhm.
funny at the time. It was funny humor, right? It's just now it's moved
Mhm.
into like different. Like we just don't see it because we're grown up. We're surrounding ourselves different. Like we don't have to be in
With
those
different people.
areas
Yeah.
anymore, and things like that. So
Mm.
nothing really has changed. We just grew up and life happened.
Mhm.
Like we just grew up into different vicinities. So, but the common thing is a lot of Africans say, yeah, things are happening now. It's being popular. Yeah, it is popular. I feel like the pioneers of people really bringing and bridging this were people like Dibanj. At the time, while over here we had Africans wanting to be African American. In the UK, we had Africans wanting to be Jamaican, who were saying, "Oh, I'm half
Mhm.
Jamaican,"
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
like that. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
when Mr. Coco Master was coming out and everything like that was really when people started to listen to like
Embrace.
embrace it up more, and also his like contemporaries around that time that were like slowly coming out, and then it all happened in the age of like, and then YouTube, you have
There's a
iRockin.com,
globalization.
iRockin.com, and it's slowly everything was slowly
Yeah. I
bridging in
love that
through
you know
like
that.
She's giving me throwbacks.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
everything was slowly coming together, especially with like the people who were working behind the scenes to help progress these papers, help sign booking deals, like all the background people that work in music
Mhm.
who grew up here, most of them grew up here, are really like the foundation for helping bring music here, because it's like it's not just having the sound ever like Charlie Poppy can still not come here.
That was the craziest thing I've ever
Burna
seen
Boy
in my
has been
life.
trying for years to get into America. Years.
Mhm.
When Life of Party came out, he's been trying for years to come here. So like a lot of things have come into place, and also like it really does come back to like second like first generation Nigerians who live here that really had a very like foundational aspect in it. Like if they say, oh, it's not popular, yes, we're popular because we all put in the work together to make all of this happen. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking to myself, like, was music enough alone to like bridge this gap between Africans, African Americans, and America as whole? But I feel like mostly, I mean, yes, that played a part, but I think it's also just the globalization of the world,
Yeah.
Yeah.
with just the internet just taking over, people actually being able to see what
Streaming.
life in
Um
Africa is like,
they were literally
just the connectivity of it all.
at that same time when like this it seems for the culture, there were people literally on ground throwing African based parties in college. I don't know if you remember. There were people
Mhm.
that would throw like all that stuff makes a difference. It all adds to it because if you're doing
Mhm.
that, you're getting like people are coming in from different parts of that college coming together. In New York, I don't like there's people like Bao, all these other like people around that footprint like years ago who were doing a lot of more like African Afro beats parties in New York, which was unheard of. No one was doing that. So it
Mhm.
wasn't just the music; it was
Are these
everyone. The
like first generation?
first
Okay, actually,
generation as
side
well too.
question.
Making African spaces here
Yeah,
and there,
taste
really.
tastemakers. They were all, and they had to do a lot of things because like it's not just you can throw a party in New York. First you had to all start in college because college is a little bit easier to work with. Then you're now talking like
Yeah.
you're now getting to the space of like okay,
Yes,
you
we.
have to get a location. You have to like everyone's learning, everyone's fumbling, everyone's feeling the time too because there was no blueprint for it. And
Yeah.
yeah, so everything came together was like all hands in hands for things to become popular. A lot of people
Mhm.
put hands together to where we are now.
Mhm. And I was thinking about that too. I don't even think she would have had that experience of like African booty scratcher and all of that because like from what you said, your those foundational years, those first couple of years, you are surrounded by other Africans. So
Yeah.
who's gonna be scratching whose
Or
booty? Yeah,
internationals.
like
Or
Yeah, and even when
we
I
are the
met,
same.
even when I went to came to Maryland, and Maryland is very African. Like I wasn't really experiencing that at all. Like only the most is maybe
Hmm.
like someone making fun of my accent when I was in a predominantly white area, but yeah, I wasn't really experiencing them much of that.
I have a question. Did you like how long did your Nigerian accent stick on for before
I don't
you
even
are
know if I
shedding it?
don't.
7 years old.
You have a Nigerian accent now. What are you talking about?
No, but I'm just saying, like, if you are 7 years old, I don't think you can hang on to your Nigerian accent that much.
It's kind of been not too. It took me a while to even understand that I had an American accent because my mom, her accent is so strong. Like I feel like I talk exactly like
Oh yeah,
her.
no way.
My parents are
Yeah.
so strong. You speak to them every day. Like it takes a little bit longer. I think the most is my sister definitely adapted hers back being in boarding school and being surrounded by Nigerians again. My brother does not have that zero. Absolutely not. You can choose to renounce it. I know I never was really too much like aware, and it took me a minute to like. I was having this conversation with my ex. I did not hear an American accent. To me, an American accent was not here. It was not hearing an accent at all. Like like I could hear a
Mm.
British accent, I could hear a Nigerian accent, I could hear other countries, but for some reason I could not figure out what an American accent was. Like it was just to me, it just felt like removing all your accents, and that's what an American accent is. So it took me a while to even
Mm.
understand that. Like actually, it is. I'm slowly forming. I'm slowly like picking up. Like to me, when I speak an American accent is when I'm trying to speak properly to enunciate better so that people can understand me and I pace myself because in boarding school I used to do a lot of I was like president of the Spanish on the Society, a treasurer, and I remember like my accent was like it was really bad, especially when it comes to like
You just talk really fast. Yeah.
your pronunciation. Like when I talk very fast, again, very excited, my accent comes thicker. So I had to like learn how to like pace myself. I would really practice those words and pronounce it. And to me, like I feel like American accent is just slowing your
Okay.
speech and just
No, they
talking.
should allow you to. If they listen, they just listen properly. They can
That
hear. They can hear
that's
what
That
you're
too
saying.
one,
much.
the yeah, especially when you're at an international piece, there's a lot of people trying to stretch.
That
And I think I would actually say I don't know that you have a fully
yeah, you have definitely
American. You
blended. You
got
have
a
a
Yeah, I
blended
blended
think you're
accent
accent.
just
for sure. Yeah.
blended at this point. Actually, 'cause I never really tried to force it or anything like that. It just eventually, I've been here for how many years now? Eventually got to where it needs to be. I just know that when it's time for me to talk to specific type of peers in the art space,
When
I
you
will
gotta turn it up.
focus my best to like talk to them
Slow down.
as
Yeah,
slowly
yeah,
as
yeah,
possible so that I'm clear.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I was just thinking to myself, if someone moved over to the US when they were 7 years old, like I would almost expect that they would sound,
The
more
the
American than
people,
Nigerian, and
yeah.
that makes sense because really your formative years, the society you grew up in, this is what everyone sounded like. So that makes sense. But I feel like because of how Nigerian you portrayed that both your parents sound and being in those spaces with other
Yeah, it's not going
Nigerians
anywhere.
and Africans, you just did
it's
like
not.
a
It wasn't
blend
going
of both
anywhere.
the
And phonetics was never really my strongest suit. I've always had an issue with phonetics, so it took me a very long time.
Mm,
Yeah, but it's always crazy that people who come here 2 years ago and they have better American accents than me. So it's a really funny world, honestly.
it is. It is deeply hilarious. I want to
Yes.
talk about your parents for a little second. So it sounds like your parents did more to like when you had moved to America, were they trying to help you assimilate into the society, or were they more like you are Nigerian, oh, whatever is happening outside is
don't.
not my business. So yeah, you understand? In the house, we are eating eba, and this is how we're living.
Yeah, that's it. It's not to like obviously my brother was trying. I want pizza. It's like sorry, like there's rice at home and everything. My dad would make indomie. My mom would make different soups, jollof rice. I said the most is like maybe like we're driving and I was like, oh mom, we want McDonald's or something like that. That's the most, but we're not really eating out like we're not really eating out like that. Oh, maybe Chinese buffets, but I think every African has had that experience of coming to America and everyone does that really cheap Chinese buffet. But no, everything was really very Nigerian at home.
Where so even in that eighth grade phase where you are sort of trying to like assimilate more to, I guess, the white Americans you are surrounded
Not
by,
with my food, I'm
how
so
were your
sorry.
parents?
Oh yeah, that was my food. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, this is why I
That
Okay.
draw the
but
line.
definitely not my food. I
Yeah.
don't know what they were
Okay.
eating. I had no clue what they were eating. Like the most I eat is like the cafeteria food. Like if that counts, I feel like that counts from like my suffering already. Like having to like give that up. Like I'll eat the same nonsense that they were eating in the cafeteria. But then when I went home, they don't have to go and perform for
Draw the
anybody.
line.
Exactly. You know,
Yeah. Would you, how much of your identity would you say is now American?
What would you identify
I'm
as? You know,
Nigerian,
if you
but
Yeah. Definitely
yeah,
Nigerian. Yeah.
I'm Nigerian, but I'm also American. I have American privileges, you know, and I have to always be 100% aware of that every day. There are creatives who are amazing, and there's such a glass ceiling, not a glass ceiling, such a ceiling
Mm-hmm.
because of where they are trying to make
Animation
things
world.
work. It just, you know, it makes things harder.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely like I can like yes, I'm Nigerian, but I also understand like I'm Nigerian living in America. I have certain privileges that a lot of people in Nigeria do not have that they would trade for it in a beat of a heart every single day. So I
Mm-hmm.
would just say I'm someone stuck between both worlds. If you ask me, where
Mm.
would you prefer to live? It's here. It's here. I'm so sorry. I don't tell them, you know.
She said that's that privilege I'm gonna hold on to.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
Would
anybody
I
can be mad
prefer
at that
Yeah.
answer.
to? Do I
Yeah.
want?
I don't think anyone can be mad
Would
at
I
that.
take my Nigerian passport or my American passport? American passport, like
You
you know,
can't hold that green passport
you
over
guys
there.
can hold
Give
it.
me
You
that
know,
blue thing. Yeah.
I'm not even like I'm like I love like you know the. So I was like, wow, I love the Nigerian. I'm
You
thinking
don't
about
have
like
to
the,
explain too
like,
much. You
yeah,
don't
I'm
have
thinking
to
about the
explain too much.
food,
Trust me.
It's okay. Don't
It's
worry.
okay. It's
but
Don't
okay.
it's
worry.
like,
Everybody
do I want the
understands. It's
suffering of
Yeah.
it?
okay.
No, and I have the privilege
Nah,
of not
nah,
having to deal with that. You know,
You sound like you've considered it.
Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yes, I have considered it, but after I've been there, I'm even about to be there for 2 months again. Like by the time you're done with that place for 1, 2 months, you're ready to go back to when things make sense.
okay, question. So you're going back and forth?
I go
Is
back
this
like
a
once a
lifestyle?
year. I have an exhibition coming up, so
Okay.
I do that. You know, so
Okay.
So now you do like growing up. Was that also the case? Were you also going back home
we didn't
often,
start going
or
back till I turned 16.
Wow. What was that
so
like?
almost 10 years since you left the first time?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, my brother didn't really like it. I think my brother's only been here twice. My sister has been here 3 times, and then she came her fourth time with me last year as an adult, properly. Not the so, but like I think it was around like 2018, 2019 that I like 2018 or 2017 that I started trying to come with myself because obviously, if you come with your family, where are you gonna go? You're gonna go to the east. And you spend your time in the
Mm-hmm.
east in the village, and I didn't like that. I wanted like I knew my friends, I knew Lagos. I wanted to be in Lagos. Like I was just getting
Uh,
taste of it. I couldn't go out in the night, everything like that. So that one
Damn.
time I
Mm-hmm.
came, and my mother said, you know, you're not coming to fly. And, you know, she used to treat us, would have like good seats, plane seats, that you buy your own flights. And that was my first time buying my own flight. I went, I flew one nonsense Ethiopian Air, or was it Egyptian, one of this nonsense. And they lost my luggages for what,
Did your
three?
bag make it? Ah, see,
Oh,
your
yeah,
bag
they
can
have to
never
no.
lose your
make
And
bag.
it.
I
Your
knew in
bag
this
can
life,
never
I
make
How?
remember I was on a flight, it was to make money. And this life, make money. That's all I can know. Just make that was a very
it.
key
Yeah.
moment to make money in this life, you know? And so I came, just dealing with a lot of things. Thankfully, like, you know, this Uber now, you know, having to figure out hotels before I was be like, you know, I didn't have money. My first time being in Lagos stuff, my mom said I should go and stay with my auntie. And so I'm not getting
Wait,
ready to
how old are
leave.
you at this point?
I think I
How
was
old are
like
you at this point?
20. I think I was 2021 by that age. So I was telling my getting ready, and my aunt said, "What are you getting ready for? It's 11." I said, "The night is just starting." You don't
Yeah,
understand.
come
They
on.
demonized me, but I made the mistake. I didn't get back home until 5 p.m. that next day, and that's when I realized they were
5 p.m.
there was had fuel shortage. So by the time I came out, I was all this up. I couldn't
Oh,
get home
face,
again. I had
face,
to go and
face.
stay wherever I was and figure it.
Okay.
So that thing, hey, they called my mother back and forth, everything. And as I
Yeah.
said, bro, I had to figure out how to organize myself in this because you know, and they had a driver. I had to go and be dependent on the driver. It was just a crazy. That's why you're like, you know what? When I come here next time on a quiet pier, come here and get my hotel
On your
wherever I
chase.
stay. yeah, after I learned that, I learned how to maneuver myself. I know how to organize my driver now. I know how to organize things, and it's because I've had all these friends that live here
There you
who can help me. At the end of the day, Nigeria's a man's world. Unfortunately, it is. You know, if you're
Yeah.
not careful, that's how you end up in trouble, and no one can really help you unless you have money and someone with money that can help you get out of that trouble. So yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, you need to connect. You need to know who to call.
You know.
Mhm.
So, but like I said, it's nice, it's thrilling. That whole Lagos thing, seeing people just spending, seeing babes that will actually package themselves properly in the night because what Nigerians do is package themselves, seeing nice DJs, you have MCs, like it's fun, but you know,
Yeah.
is it the peace of mind to sit here and say I have proper internet that lasts me to for it A to Z for me to get work done? No, it's not the same thing. So yeah.
I'm crying. First. Um. Okay. So I guess coming back to the US of A, right? Um. It seems like you just have like a one identity, one Uzo in all spaces. Um. And except when you feel like you have to code switch, like, do you find yourself code switching still, or do you feel like you're still showing up as Uzo all the
I feel
time?
like I'm still myself. The only thing is like when I just need to talk to certain people or give speeches, I talk slower, But overall, I'm the exact same person because people aren't just buying art; they're buying into the brand, they're buying into myself. So all I can do is be 100% myself.
That is true. And I think also your brand is very much about like you have to tap into like being African and being authentically that
Yeah,
person. So it will not be somehow if they actually meet you and
I was into
you're like,
a,
Hey
hey
guys!
yeah,
it'll
it will be
actually,
Well,
somehow.
it'll be a very jarring thing. And it's really cool. There's this
Mm-hmm.
couple that bought this American couple that bought my like wallpaper, and they were saying that about my work is that it like hits a sweet world. They feel like they're in a world where all the diasporas can meet in one, well, like everyone in the African diaspora meet in one place through art. 'Cause I don't sit here trying to create African art. I just create black art, and I feel like I'm fusing like all my experiences into one place. So
Mm-hmm.
it was really nice. It was really good to hear that because I feel like what I'm doing is just kind of creating my own little world where I'm bringing all the cultures
Mm-hmm.
that I've experienced into one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was the motivation for starting the brand? Like, were you always doing art growing up?
No, I think the most I ever did was like I'll just do little drawings here and there. Growing up, and I wanted to make clothes. Wanted to do fashion, like of course.
Hmm.
My mom, there was obviously nothing to really support that. So then I started doing trying to do architecture, but then my school didn't prepare me for that. So I actually was still, and then they had a really strong math background. I was good at statistics. So now I was thinking about switching it, doing actuarial science when I came into college. So then for 1 year I took stat classes. I was taking Arabic classes because I was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna be an actuarial scientist and live in Qatar." That was my dream in my
Mm.
freshman year. So I was like, "Oh wow, I actually hate
That's
school."
how I do it.
I said, "I actually hate school." I hate school. Kids in school were talking about like how their parents are actual scientists, but they got to like study anything they want to do. And I was like, I don't like these classes I'm taking. I don't like, even if I got the degree, I didn't see myself lasting long in it. I feel like eventually I would have quit or not be happy. Like I've just been doing what my parents wanted for so long. I always had
Yeah.
like really good, strong grades in boarding school,
Gifted class. Yeah.
and also, military school doing it. When we got our phones like 1 hour a day, like, it was a very strict thing I grew up in. I was like, just tired of just doing what I was told. So I took a year off, and during
Mm-hmm.
that year off, I just started to paint just to decorate my house. It wasn't really good paintings, just paintings that I just see a painting I like, I'll just recreate it and I'll post it online. People are like, "What is this so good?" So I came back still scared. I was still trying to tell my friends. They were like, "What are you talking about?" So then I'll just sneak in one art class into my schedule. Then
Schedule,
I
yeah.
had a statistics advisor. She pulled me in. I was taking one of her regressional analysis classes, and she was like, "Oh, like well, how things? It's been a while. How have things been?" It's like, "What have you been working on?" I showed her my schedule, and she noticed the art class. So she's like, "Oh, can I see your paintings?" So I showed it to her, and she said I was in the wrong program, and so that's when I switched to
Yeah.
art. And in doing that, I didn't have
That's
I
crazy.
didn't have support from these two, the ones,
I was,
the
I
ones,
was just gonna say because
the one here,
African parents they get really nervous about a
you know.
non-traditional
And now
Yeah.
they're
career
my
path.
biggest fans.
And now the money has started.
Yes, now I
Yeah.
won't go and
Yeah.
anyone that wants here. But the thing is that when remember we won't point to other parents who are scared about because their kids are doing like other things that are not conventional. And I'll just talk to the kids. I don't talk to the parents. I'll talk to the kids because the thing is that it's not like they think it's stupid. You just have to show them. You have to have a plan. People will say that you have kids, immigrants who say, "Oh, I want to be a musician." But like, what are you actually like? You have to create an actual plan, like A to Z.
Yeah.
Like as to what I want to do. So eventually, like, yes, money came, but I had to like. I think that's why I always take it so hard on myself. I had to create a plan because, like, at the end of the day, the art is not a stable career. It's not every day that I
Mm-hmm.
can sit here. I'm getting a check written. It's essentially like from the entrepreneurship, or you're gonna be dependent on galleries. It's like it's a very tricky thing. So what can you do? How can you break it down so that it makes sense to
Mm-hmm.
an African parent? Because the one sees logic.
Mm-hmm.
So I started like made an Instagram, started posting about my art, and I started posting about this coloring book. I didn't even have money for the coloring book. I didn't have anything. I just started posting about it, and I decided to do a pre-order. And then that pre-order was kind of like I put out a pre-order for a certain time. We had like over like 700 orders that time period, and
Wow.
so everything just kind of like catalyst blew. It kind of like started to like I went to London to study. Like a lot of things have happened to get to where I am, but you you do need a plan. You need a plan. Tell them something that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That immediately makes sense, either academic wise, something. It can't just be like, oh, I want to be a musician. I want to be an artist. I'm going to get my artwork in the Gaussian. Like that. That's not a.
In
That's
this
yeah.
gallery.
That doesn't
Yeah.
make a plan. That doesn't make sense. Like it has to be something that like seems like
Hmm.
feasible that you can that
Mm-hmm.
they see you like actively working towards, and they will support you. I swear.
Mm.
Unless
That's
I
unless
love
great.
that you're very optimistic about that.
yeah,
Because
unless you're very like I don't care, then you're dealing with very backward parents, and that's
and that is the truth of the African experience. Like, what are you talking about? I feel like also, maybe I'll ask you this after. I feel like the current approach I'm using is I don't say anything until I blow. That's my current approach. As long as I'm making money and they know I'm making money, I think I'm okay.
I blew since
But in details of my,
I blew
oh
since, and I
yeah,
still had not gotten like it's still didn't like confirmation from my dad yet. It took a minute. I think it was funny when he came to like
what was the switch?
my
Yeah.
last show. I had a show in New York, and he came. And he just there smiling, all his teeth, taking picture, everything. And I think that's when it really kind of like
Look at you now.
clicks to him. But um, some people it takes them quicker to catch on, fair it takes them a longer time, and then some parents are just so
Mhm.
backwards because they only see doctor, lawyer, like all those things that make sense to them. So it's either like you want to
Mhm.
fight the fights, or you want to go your own path. Like I took them a while. Like I wish I had the support the moment I wanted to do it. Maybe things would have been a little bit easier, but I feel like the sometimes the struggle of it and having to fight for it is what makes the story better and
I
what
was about to
makes the
Mhm.
say,
work better.
I always tell Abim so like, say what you want about African parents. They breed champions. They develop they develop champions.
Champions with trauma, go there right? It's a
You
balance.
know.
Everywhere is mixed. Everywhere is mixed. Um, okay. Um, I do have a question about your relationship with like other Africans, right? So, when you're relating with like, do you notice any differences between, say, yourself as someone who grew up in the US, or people like us who just recently moved, or people who were born here and all they know is America? Like, do you notice any differences with how you relate with us?
Yeah, I do. There's definitely differences,
Yeah.
but I feel like I treat.
Like what?
What's the tell? What's the tell? Like if you
Yeah.
meet another African, how without them saying it, how quickly can you come to the conclusion that okay, maybe you just came more recently for school, or maybe you've lived here all your life.
Usually
How? What's the tell?
the accent is a giveaway. The slang is more up to date. I had one friend who was raised here and he was making music and he was putting Chale and he's Igbo. I'm like, why are you saying Chale? And I was like, you too. I was like, if you want to make Afro beats, you need to be in Nigeria. You need to be working with Nigerian writers,
Yeah, you need to be on the ground, know what's
and
happening.
also like the humor is also a lot differently. People like Chief Obi
Hmm.
was hilarious to people in my category of growing up. Like they grew up here, Chief Obi, African Ape, like all these people
Sam
who
TikTok,
sit,
those guys, yeah.
yeah, who their humor is making fun, not I don't call them, yeah, making fun of their parents, like literally just like being caricatures of their parents and their grown up experience. So the humor is completely different. The humors that Nigerians list like, and it's also like the Nigerians, you guys, your type of humor is different from the Nigerians in Nigeria. Nigerians, Nigeria, like the ones that
Hmm.
like off road, whatever, like they like these things with like the excessive comedy, the huge caricatures, just like a
Oh
mommy,
yeah, that is
the
always
different
one.
sound, like their own
Yeah, it's a
it's a
lot.
whole different world, So like it's also like when you don't want to get into Nigeria, like it's the different levels of like what they find humor. You can actually see like the intricacies of the difference as well too. I would say
Hmm.
with men, I would say they're definitely a little bit more traditional with just different ways in the approach. Like
Hmm.
just not like in terms of like just dating, like it's almost like they see themselves as like provider, like just like they know how like things should be like a little bit things. It's not much like leeway for too much like progressiveness in like
Hmm.
in the dating in terms of
Yeah.
dating um versus the
Do you have a
ones
preference?
here. Do I have a preference? Hmm. Sometimes I don't like being put in my place, so I don't really talk too much with the ones coming
Fez.
to Nigeria.
No,
I don't
same,
like
same, same,
that.
same, 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 same,
There are
same, same.
women who love that. No, I
Yeah.
have girlfriends who like all even Americans, the ones I know, they love the ones from Nigeria because they want their man. I'll sit there, I'll tell them about that, tell them what to
Yeah.
do. Yes, baby, like I'll just give them money. They don't want to be taken. They want to be a
Mm-hmm.
princess. They love that. They want to be trophy wives.
Mhm,
I
Yeah.
can't be a trophy wife. That's
mhm,
not. I've had offers.
Yeah.
Someone say like, oh, just move to Nigeria, move to Lagos. You never have to work a day in your life. I said, God forbid. I just what kind of life is what kind of
mhm,
life? And there are people who love that. They just oh that's my dream. They
Yeah.
just want to be from and fly to touch and kick all these other places. But
Relax and be taken
so I
care
would definitely
of.
say like
That's it.
it's definitely a little
Yeah.
bit um more different in terms of that. I would say what else is very different about
Malik, do you see any telltale signs?
No, honestly, like even the humor thing that she said is so real. Even
yeah, like they won't
Mm.
laugh at that. They would laugh to people like Justin UG. You guys can laugh with. The ones that
Oh
laugh at
yeah.
Chipotle cannot really don't know what he's talking about.
Mm.
yeah,
They don't
it's not
really,
funny.
or they'll try to like they're like
Yeah. You don't have the
If
context clue.
they
yeah,
don't really know.
yeah,
Um
Mm-hmm.
they just other
My
people.
own telltale sign is the Naija no dey carry last. That's when I know.
Oh yeah, they also put flags. Our people, like my people that grew up here, they put the Nigerian flags by their
Mm-hmm.
names. They do it. Like we know. But then sometimes I get people who like, oh, are you Nigerian? I was like, my name is there. Like I feel like you can gauge and
Mm-hmm.
look things up. But like I've never once I'm actually very stubborn. Like I just made it a thing to like, why do I have to shout? Why do I have to shout it or
I
put it?
understand it, but like I'm not. I can understand it. I can understand it. Like if especially like if you grew up here, and let's say you had like a Nigerian household, and the world around you wasn't that Nigerian, you cling on to every
Any
bit of
opportunity, yeah.
Nigerianness that you can. You put it in your bio. You want to identify with that
But they don't
Nigeria,
be. They're
as much
actually
as you
so
can.
funny. No, they're actually the funniest people because Hey, online there are Nigerians. As in, like, you even
Mm,
like how they talk, like, like there was a way they'll be texting, like, you be thinking like you're talking to, and then you meet them and they have the most American accent. They're literally, not even the accent, they're literally American. It's just that they have the
mm.
Nigerian name, and it's just like it's very, like, the persona online is like, and I feel like it's too, it's not authentic. Like
It's a caricature
it's the
almost.
yeah,
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 it's the
yeah,
point
yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah,
it, like,
yeah,
when I meet you in person, it's jarring. Like, this is the same person. Like,
yeah. It
like, it
shouldn't
shouldn't be
be.
like that. You should be your true self from the very moment.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Again, I understand it. I understand it again. I understand it again, but like for sure, like everything you're saying is, I'm experiencing that as well. So you're definitely right. Like this is something
I
that's
get it. I get
definitely
it's good to
happening.
represent it because, like,
Again,
you're the only one there. It makes you want to, like, shout, like, the same way, like,
Wear
you
it on
go
your chest.
abroad
Yeah,
and you see Americans with their flag, but they have to show it, right? But
yeah.
that's that's cool, but I feel like there's an extra level that they take it that's not needed, especially now that
I think they're trying to be. I think they're trying to be what they think being Nigerian
and
is.
that's caricature.
Yeah.
I think
So
that's what it is. I think that's the disconnect where they are performing Nigeria rather than being it.
I love them all. Amen. So that's what it is. That's all I can say.
Not amen.
So
Okay,
um
knowing what you know now, I guess, of like America and living here, would you encourage, if there are people in Nigeria right now who are thinking of making this move with their kids, is this something that you would encourage them to do?
yes,
Like moving your kids at that age?
the only advice I would say to anybody moving from Nigeria to America is, do not listen to anyone over 40 for advice, please. Their advice is outdated. They might know one way of how they navigated at that time. It doesn't apply to now. They don't understand things that have changed with the technology. You'll be doing the long route
it's a
of
very
trying to
different
adapt.
world.
You'll be not knowing information, things like that, if all I can say is, if you move here, don't talk to your auntie, don't talk to nobody about this. You want to talk to people who are in that moment doing it as well too for advice, because that's how you truly know. Like,
Mm,
that's how you know. Like, oh, that's how they're telling everybody. Like, you should go and do CNA. You don't do that. There's other things. You don't have to. You don't have things. Don't have to be as hard as it seems.
it doesn't have to be hard. Yeah.
So that's like really, like, if you want to travel anywhere, do it. All I can say is, please be very mindful of who you're taking advice from, because that's how you go and you be in one long journey, entering 4 year colleges where you don't have to, like, doing different things that doesn't make sense, having to fake your age to do, like, there's certain things that it made sense at that time,
At the
but
time.
now it doesn't. So yeah.
Hmm. Okay. And then I guess I'm curious for this. Like, what are things that you think your parents did well, or yeah, like your parents did well that helped you stay connected to like being Nigerian?
Um, I think boarding school helped. Let's see, what did they do?
You are going to the yearly
It
Igbo
wasn't even yearly.
events.
We used to go there, but my parents stopped. My mom didn't like the gossiping. But they were very good at
First,
denouncing negative aspects of the Nigerian culture that they didn't want, and they were willing to move to a different place. They didn't like the gossiping.
I
I
love
also
that.
found myself, I'm not really too much friends with too much Nigerian people like that. Like, Nigerians naturally, because of now I'm in New York and like, I'm connected more with them. But sometimes I just feel like grouping with being friends with someone just because they're from the same country is not good friendship, and that's how it leads to, like, toxic. It leads to
Mm,
problems. Like, I have friends from all different paths, different countries. A lot of my closest friends are Americans. It all boils down to character. So I would say, like, they definitely push, like, don't sit here and have somebody try and connect with you off just saying with Nigerians.
of
That's
your
how you end
culture.
up in trouble. You
Hmm.
know.
Yeah,
Um,
I've learned that one the hard way. So yeah,
don't let them do that. So they'll take
yeah.
you through a journey. So um, anything with the raising and things like that. I would say the food was definitely important as well too. I do wish my mom taught me how to cook. I know how to cook myself. I had to teach myself. But like I said, the rise of social media is the only reason I know how to cook. Because if she doesn't want to cook me, then what? Tommy from social media, from Instagram, who cooks afang soup, can teach me how to make that stuff.
Everything.
So
Yeah.
I like I wish there were different things as well too. I don't know how to speak Igbo. I wish I knew how to speak Igbo, but
Hmm.
I feel like that doesn't take away from who I am, But I would say like
It
my mom
doesn't,
has
yeah.
just always been very unapologetically herself. Um, and I think just kind of like just growing up with this kind of people around, it's kind of like made me who I am. So there's some things I don't know. There's some things that I don't like. And I don't have to sit here and take it. So yeah.
Love that.
And I
Love
never
that.
seeked.
Shout out the parents in the back.
Yeah. Shout out to them. I never seeked. I never seeked group group like I've never been a group person, like joining groups and like that. I've always been very individual. I feel like people who have group mentalities, like they tend to group more together. I think too, like
Hmm.
a lot of people who are doing the Nigerian card, they're very group mentality. Like nothing wrong with group mentality, because like there's some
There is, oh, let's not pretend. There is
there's
something
some
wrong with group
people like
mentality.
who like um they just do things because everyone's doing it. And my mom's just always been a
Yeah.
very person that always pushed against the grain.
So if your friends want to jump in the fire, you too, will you follow them and jump?
You know?
They have not had an original thought. No, of these African parents, not
No,
one.
Yeah, we're all the
That's why
same.
they all use that
not
balance.
one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. Now, do you have any other questions for Uzo?
No, I do not. So where can the people find you?
First of all, if you don't even know where she is, mistake number one. But go ahead
You
and
already
let the
feel
people know.
already,
Uh,
Sure.
you can
correct them.
Yeah.
find me on social medias. It's Uzo Art, Uzo Art. Um, Website is Uzo Art. Literally just look up
Is
Uzo
there
Art.
anything exciting coming up?
I have
Yeah.
a Wamba exhibition I'm working for next this December. So all that's gonna be released
Nice.
if you check up online and everything like that. I can't really talk too much more about that, but yeah, it's gonna be fun.
She said you have to be there to see it.
Exactly.
Stay tuned.
All right. Well, I think this is a wrap on this episode. And thank you guys for listening. Please, I'm begging you from the bottom of my heart. There's only one episode remaining. Can you
Mhm.
please make a donation to the people of DRC and Sudan? Take our money. Let us match
Matching
you.
donations, guys. Come
Please.
on. Come
Yes.
on. Then
Um,
like, subscribe, share. Don't forget that part too.
yeah. All right, y'all. Everybody say bye.
Bye.